Alright, so here's a tutorial going over the animation timeline, how to trigger events via animation, and timing all of that with audio, and then doing an audio preview that you can play without actually playing. So in order to get the actual audio preview stuff, we have to go to GitHub, and I'm going to show you this GitHub page. So follow this address and then download it or clone it. And what you're going to get is this clack pack, and in it has all of the sort of editor stuff that you need in order to, well, you'll see in a minute. But here we have, just some scripts, and then in the assets we have an audio file as well as a test director stuff. We won't go into this right now. We're going to go right from a completely blank project or scene. So here we want to create an empty. And this is going to set up our director for timeline. So let's call it a director. And if this had been placed, I don't know, at some like random place, then we'll just transform reset. From here, we want to open up our timeline. I'm going to drag this down to the console. And I'm just going to create it. Yeah, sure, I'll call it director timeline. So it automatically places a playable director and an animator onto my director game object. And for the sake of just mixing things up, let's call this another object. So here in our timeline, we have it referencing the director itself via the animator. Let's go ahead and remove that, but we could use the animator there. And instead, let's use another object and call an animation track, which it should automatically add an animator component to it within the inspector. Let's go back to the director and let's get rid of this original director piece. So here we have this game object that's being referenced in timeline, but it really isn't doing anything. We can right click, and what you're missing here is between delete and lock is this edit in animator or animation timeline, I think, something like that. And the reason we don't see that is because this has no recording associated with it. So let's actually bring up the window and then animation. Here I'm going to drag this up to the top. And if we notice, okay, another object, it doesn't have anything, and same with the director. But if we go to the director and we go to this another object thing and we hit record, and this is the hacky part, we go to another object and we'll move it a little bit. At this point, it created a keyframe here and we have our first recording. Now we have this little graph that we can open up, and the more important part is if we right click in here, we see edit in animation window. We have to click that, and if you saw before, if we were just clicking on another object, then it didn't know to reference this part. And so if you want to look at this this specific another object, it's like weird, but you have to go right click, edit in animation window. From here we can scroll out and we can see a large timeline, but we don't have anything for it yet. And the reason that we don't is we want to bring audio in and then figure out where we want the actual audio or the event to be triggered. So here let's right click, and this is where the clack comes in. Clack timeline, audio preview track. And then we go to the timeline, we right click it, and we say add audio preview clip. On the right side we see a start and an end point, and then we have the actual clip, which is null right now. It doesn't exist. So let's go to our assets, grab the audio file that we want, and click and drag. But we don't know where it ends, so we need to click on it and we say, okay, 54 seconds. That's the entire length of the clip. If we wanted it shorter, then we could adjust it appropriately. But for the sake, let's just keep it to 54 seconds. So we have this long animation timeline for the audio, and now we want to listen through. So okay, did you hear that clap? Let's try to trigger an event right at that clap. But in order to trigger an event, we need to have an event. So let's go and create a script called say hello. In here, we'll get rid of all this junk, and the big part is public void, and then we'll just call it hello. And here we'll just do a debug.log, and we'll say hello world. Close it off and save it, and minimize it. Let it compile down here on the right side. Once it's done with that, then we can click and drag it to another object. We could have also just clicked and dragged it here, or done an add component, say hello. Let's remove both of these. But now we have it on the actual object. Now we need to call it. So and again, it doesn't exist here, so we need to go into the director and right-click, edit in animation window. From here, let's zoom out, and let's play. So it's like right here. So let's right-click, add an animation event. On the right side here, we see this function, and we say no function selected, and that is now propagated with our public void hello. And the reason is because on another object, it has the animator, which is this whole thing, and then we have the script on that object. If we had tried to do it on a director, then it wouldn't have worked because our script isn't on the object that has the animator component on it. Okay, then if we hover over it, then we have the actual event that's being called. If we had lots of other events, let's put one here at 5 seconds, and we'll make that a hello too. If we hovered over that, it would say hello. And we can't play anything right now because it doesn't know what to reference, so we have to go to the director. Great. So that's doing what we want it to. Now it should play back. We have this initial hello world. Let's listen for that clap. That didn't work. Another object. Oh, we have collapse on, that's why. Gosh. Dumb. Okay. Sweet. So it's doing it. The reason it wasn't doing it before is because when you collapse it, it just takes the same message and puts them all together. But that was perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. And you just expand it from there. So any event that you want to call, just do it like that. I think that's it. And I hope it was helpful. And I'll check you later.